Alright, you guys. On this video, we're going to go ahead and delete the ABS setup on Project Gus Gus. You guys can see him back there. He has kind of taken a storage role right now. Real quickly, intro to this. Let me go ahead and just tell you guys what happened to him. Back in March, I was heading into work, literally a block from work. Going through a green light, some guy was texting and driving. Decided he wanted to not pay attention, and he hit Gus Gus in the driver's side front axle. I spun 90 degrees, got up on two wheels, and settled back down. The good news is, thanks to Scott's Frame and Alignment here in Colorado Springs, they checked it out. The unibody is straight, but there is damage to the steering and suspension. Kind of bummed out. The Iron Rock Rocklink setup held up for 120,000 miles and was still working flawlessly. But we bent the brackets on the front axle, tweaked the leaf spring. So what are we going to do? We're going to stick to the Iron Rock 4-inch Rocklink setup. Just replace it with all new components. Out back, we're going to replace the Dana 35 with a Ford Explorer 8.8, 456 gears and limited slip. Traction lock from the factory, Ford. Up front, we're going to run a Dana 30 with a lunchbox locker and 456 gears. SFF Customs, Josh is setting those up for me right now. Suspension has showed up. Once I get the axles in, we'll go ahead and set all this up and get going with that. But let's go ahead and start the video, and hope you guys enjoy. So when doing the ABS, this is all learning curve for me because I've never done this on a Jeep before, but we're going to start by disconnecting all 5 lines. 2 of these are feed from the proportioning valve, and then 3 lines out. 1 to the rear, 1 to the passenger front, and driver front. I'm going to have to sort these lines out, figure out exactly what needs to go where, and then once we get all these figured out, get the ABS pump out of the way, we are going to reconnect them to the proportioning valve here without the ABS module in place. Now, you'll be asking me, well, why are you deleting the ABS pump? In this Jeep, we're going to an 8.8 rear end and a Dana 30 high pinion, and we will no longer be using ABS. So, these are 12 millimeter. We'll start loosening these up, get them out of the way, then we'll unbolt the pump from the inner fender and go from there. You guys can see right here, and underneath his wire loom, so we get some light in here, right down there, are 3 14 millimeter bolts. Then we've got our lines loose here, so this should just be able to come out. And then we'll have to separate brake lines from module lines and go that route. ABS pump module is out. I know we've got wiring and all that here. I'm not going to go through a whole wiring delete. I don't want to mess with it all. So what we'll end up doing eventually is zip tying this out of the way. Sorry guys for all the background noise. Now, these 2 lines go from the proportioning valve. They wrap up here and they go right here to your, sorry guys, drawing a blank. These go from your proportioning valve to your ABS module. Then you have 3 lines that go down into your brakes. This one, and these 2 down here. So my next game plan is to disconnect and separate these 2 lines here from the proportioning valve, and then we're going to make connections for these lines into the proportioning valve. So what I need to do is figure out what size fittings these are, and then this front one will go to the rear brake, this bottom one will go to the driver's side front, and then if we come around here, I've got a bunch of parts I'm stepping over, guys, so bear with me 1 second. On the back of the proportioning valve, there is a cap back there, and that'll go to the passenger front. Alright, so with the ABS pump out of the way, we're going to have to redo the rear brake line, and then these two are the front brake lines. The rear brake line is simple. I have the old adapter off of a manual ABS brake Jeep, so that'll be as simple as unscrewing it down in here, right here, and then just screwing this line in, and then screwing it into the new ABS proportion or non-ABS proportioning valve. Then what we're going to have to do is take these two lines, rework them and shorten them, as well as try my hand at flaring brake lines, which is something I've never done. But we'll have to cut them, shorten them, and then pull them up into the new proportioning valve here. So we undid the two 13mm nuts off the master cylinder, here and here, that hold the proportioning valve in, so you guys can see all the room we have now. Now the next step is going to be undoing the rear line, and then pulling these front two lines out of their hiding spot, and rebending them, and then cutting them, and reflaring them. Then we'll match those up with the non-ABS proportioning valve, bolt it all back together, and we should be ABS free after that. We have the rear brake line unscrewed. You guys can see the ABS rear brake line. This goes from the ABS pump to the inner fender for the rear brake line. This is what the non-ABS brake line looks like. This will screw into the proportioning valve and then screw down to the factory line. I'm going to clean this up before we put it on because I don't want a bunch of rusty crap on here. Alright, you guys, it might be quiet, it might not, we'll see what happens. So I've got my brake line here. You guys can see it. Where's it at? Right here. Now, they make a file and a cleaner for this, but I found out this works really good too as a little pick. I just stick it in there to re-round it out, like so. Now you got it kind of round. Where's my camera at? Like that. Sorry, my camera's a little dirty, guys. So once that's done, and I want to practice these before I put these in the car, I put it into the clamp, like so. Now, like I said, I don't know if I said this yet, but I haven't done one of these in a long time. So I'm kind of just refreshing my memory here. And like I said, we might hear some background noise. I do have kids running around today because they're out of school and it's summertime. So you take your little tool and you want this to stick out about the same amount. So we got to retract it some. Sorry guys, I might have cut off camera here. So what you're going to do is going to do it so it's the same depth as this black metal piece, and I don't know what it's called. Pardon for my ignorance on that. So that's in there just like that. You're going to clamp this down tight, like so. Put this in here. I need this, buddy. And then we're going to stick this in here. Sorry guys, my hands are shaking. So lock this in place, like so. And then we tighten this up. Kind of do this in here, guys. so we can get it in here like so, and then you guys just start tightening it up. We'll tighten this up, and then we'll go for the second flare. So now we took that black metal piece out, and we're going in for our second flare. I'm going to tighten this until it's almost about flush with the holder on the brake line. And I'm sorry guys if my hands are shaking and we're out of focus. It's kind of hard to do all this, but that's what I'm showing you on a test line. So now we got it flush. Back it out and I'll show you guys the line. Fitting off, take the clamps off. We'll see how this turns out because this is just practicing. Oh, here we go. Nice clean flare. Here we are starting to flare the lines. You guys can see I've got this line done. I've got to try to bend it better. But what you do is put the clamp on there. You guys got this little doohickey that fits inside. Sorry, I don't know the technical term. It'll sit on here like this. And then what we do is we take our flaring tool. And mine locks in on place. So it'll go into it like this. And then we tighten this down to flare it out once. I'll show you guys that here right now. So now we'll tighten this down onto this little piece right here the first time until it's all the way tight. Then we'll pull this all back apart and do a second flare. Here we go. We're going to do the final flare, and then this line should be done. All you got to do is tighten this down until it's almost flush, and it flares that out. You guys can see, make sure you put the fitting on first. I almost made that mistake today. As I stated for the rear line, we're going to reuse one of the factory ones off a donor Jeep. You can see my oldest took time, sanded this up, cleaned it up as best we could. This side screws into the proportioning valve. That side screws into the brake line. Brake line's done. It's really tight to the shock. I might tweak that a little bit. I've got my youngest inside, and he is hitting the brakes. We're checking for leaks. No signs of leakage. So we'll take that as a win. Call this job done. And look at all the room we have in here now. Alright you guys, we're going to end the video here. Brake line's done, not leaking. Just so you guys know, and I couldn't find the information easily online, but the two rear ports on the proportioning valve for the front brake lines are 3/8 by 24 for a 3/16 inch brake line. The front port that works the rear brake line is a 1/2 by 20 3/16 inch brake line. Thanks for watching, y'all. God bless. Hopefully you would like the video. If you did, hit the like, subscribe button. Take care.